Hey there, fools. Big T here, and I'm back with another video. And this video is about Capcom's continuous disrespect of the Nintendo fan base. You guys know I've made countless videos on Capcom, Super Fuck Capcom 2 Turbo, all kinds of videos. I've done it for EA and the like. So let's get into this topic about Capcom continuing to do what they've been doing on Switch. Now, if you don't know what happened, basically Capcom's dropping a a Resident Evil Origins collection for the Switch, which includes Resident Evil 0, which started on the GameCube, and Resident Evil 1. Both of those games are HD updates, HD remasters, and so that's cool. But they're charging $10 more than they charge on the other consoles, for one, and they're also making it a mandatory download for the second one, which is Resident Evil 1. I believe it's a mandatory download, while Resident Evil 0 is on the cartridge. It could be vice versa, but I think that's how it goes. So you have that situation, and they're charging $60 for both. And we know that the file size of Resident Evil 0 and Resident Evil 1 is good enough to fit on a 16 gigabyte cart. We've heard for a while now that 16 gigabyte carts are comparable to Blu-ray discs. They might be a little bit more expensive and whatnot, but still cheap enough. And we've seen other third parties have no problem putting their games onto the Switch on these carts. I mean, it's bad enough that they're upcharging, but then they're going to mandatorily charge you to download it. So it's like, we're charging you more and we're making you download the game, which is just a digital game. So that, I mean, that's doubly not fair. They've done this a few times on different games on the Switch. I'm not going to go over that. You guys knows which ones they are. You can go back and look that up. Like I said, I continue to be just annoyed as hell by Capcom and what they're doing. I don't understand it. When you have indie companies that are able to put their games on cartridges for a reasonable price, why can't Capcom do so? It just doesn't make any sense. So I put out a tweet about how Capcom is continuously screwing Nintendo fans over, hashtag fuck Capcom, and a certain person got really upset by that. And it's not, I'm sure he's not the only one who feels that way. Every time I make one of these Capcom videos or EA videos, somebody comes out of the woodwork crying about it. And it's just crazy to me. And the funny thing is that they backpedal. They'll say things like, well, you know, the price isn't good and blah, 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 but they have a problem with my tone. Like, what kind of shit is that? Like, they have a problem with my tone. This person in particular, I'm not going to say his name because he's very sensitive, and he, you know, if I make the videos, oh, you made a video about me, it's not about you, it's about Capcom's bullshit, and then the shills, as I would like to call them. I do not understand the need to defend these companies when they do this type of anti-consumer, and this is anti-consumer stuff. I don't get it. So this guy comes out and says, you know, after backpedaling, after, you know, me getting on him saying that, you know, there's nothing wrong with people, complaining about these things. These things should be addressed. There's no reason for them to do that while other third parties are doing really good things on Switch. Why is it so difficult for Capcom specifically to do these things? And it's been mostly Capcom. Now, earlier on the Switch, you know, companies would charge a little extra for the carts because back then they were more expensive. So I said, okay, I understand that. I get that, especially for the smaller indie companies and whatnot. It was mostly them. They charged like, you know, $5 to $10 more for the carts. If you wanted the physical copy. So I said, okay, that was fine, because, you know, Nintendo decided to go with cartridges, and they're the ones who are making this extra cost for developers. So somebody has to eat it, and it's going to be consumers. And I went on a whole spiel. I did a whole video about Switch tax and all this kind of stuff. So you can go check that out. So, but now at this point, the carts are cheaper. There should be no excuses. And Capcom has done this with games that are very small, like the Mega Man X collection. We know those games ain't that big. You know, it's not that big on a cart. It doesn't make sense to have mandatory downloads for the second half of it doesn't make sense. And there's no excuse for this. No excuse. Now, you cannot care which is fine, but don't come at me and tell me what to say and how to talk. What kind of bullshit is that? Like, I just don't, that makes no sense to me. Like, this is my channel, this is my Twitter. If you can't handle my opinions, don't follow. Like, it's very simple. I'm not trying to be mean about that, but when you try to tell me how to speak, especially to companies, you know, it's one thing if I'm going at somebody and being belligerent, which I don't really do, unless they said something to me. I don't go on Twitter and do that kind of stuff. I don't really interact that way on Twitter because I find it to be silly. But I will go at companies, like, because I'm a consumer, I'm a gamer, and I'm gonna speak for, you know, consumers and gamers. I'm not gonna speak for corporations and what they, you know, how they should feel. So this guy got upset that I said fuck Capcom, like, and his reasoning was like, oh, well, you're gonna make Capcom run away. Yeah, I'm gonna make Capcom not keep supporting the Switch and run away. Why would they do that when they're making so much money ripping us off? They're gonna stop. The only way they're gonna stop doing what they do is by us not buying the garbage. So, and that was my point, you know. He got really upset with me saying fuck Capcom like it was a person, like he was related to Capcom in some way. It was the strangest thing. It started off different, but when I came at him about, you know, like what Capcom's doing, how I approach other third-party companies, don't try to make this some, oh, I hate third parties thing. Excuse me. Nintendo fans had nothing to do with why third parties didn't show up on Nintendo consoles. Nintendo did. If the console didn't sell, that was one reason, or the companies didn't like the digital, or didn't like the storage media, like they didn't like cartridges when everybody else is doing CDs. That had nothing to do with the fans. So don't give me this bullshit about, oh, Nintendo fans are stopping third parties. We had no control of when Nintendo lost third parties. That was not our control. Nintendo decided to go with cartridges. That was in their control. GameCube did not sell very well. That was in their control. And it still got a decent amount of third party. But, you know, it didn't do as well to get all the other stuff, you know, a lot of stuff that PlayStation 2 got. So a lot of those games were quote unquote exclusives to PlayStation 2 because the GameCube wasn't selling that well. So I don't understand the defense force when it comes to this stuff. This is to make things better for you. Would you rather be paying, you know, overpriced for games, or would you not rather pay? Like these are your options. And for me to say whatever to a company on Twitter, that's not going to affect if they bring games or not. They're going to be like, they're not as petty and silly as you are. They're not going to look and say, oh, this guy said fuck us, so we're not going to bring our games. I mean, are you that stupid? If the games don't sell, that's what's going to stop them from being in the games. If the console doesn't sell, that's what's going to be the reason they don't bring games. Not because somebody said mean things about them on Twitter. Give me a fucking break. Grow up. Seriously, he told me to grow up. You need to grow up. You know, it doesn't make any sense for you to think that way, to believe that way. That is the problem with gamers today. That was one of the biggest problems with gamers today. They're so afraid of these companies and what they may or may not do that they don't want to do anything. They don't want to scare them off like they're cockroaches when you turn the lights on. What kind of stupid shit is this? This stuff needs to stop, man. It needs to stop. Call companies out for when they're doing wrong. Praise them for when they're doing good. That simple, okay? Don't support terrible practices. Don't support bad practices, and support good ones. And it's that simple, okay? And I mean, that's really all I got to say on this video. Let me know what you guys think about, you know, my rant here. Like I said, I didn't want to say this dude's name. I didn't want to put his tweet up because I'm sure some people will probably go run and find the guy who I was tweeting to recently and find out who I'm talking about. But, you know, I don't bother him. He's very sensitive, and he doesn't like you talking about his companies. And it's just ridiculous. Like, people have said mean things about Nintendo for years. I don't go out there, everybody, about what it's just stupid. Like, come on, man. Come on. Like, anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? You're in the middle? Whatever, let me know. I'm going to continue to, again, speak my mind when I feel like it. If you're sensitive like this guy, it's very easy. You can go back into the bubble and unsubscribe and unfollow, and you won't have to deal with, you know, people speaking out about things if you can't handle that. So All right, guys, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching as always, and I'll see you fools next time. Peace out.